Hello. Welcome back to the Pink Floyd Completion Project. This is one of the best ways I have started the week doing any one of these. Today we are talking about the album which documents the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour, or one of them. We're talking about the album that documents that tour, Delicate Sound of Thunder, specifically the 2019 remix, the original version from 1988. It's okay, but this is a far more accurate representation of what they did on that tour. So that's what we're looking at. So obviously, they make Momentary Lapse of Reason, which is a pretty decent album. I told you to go buy it. And then they decided, and then the Floyd went on tour, like a big tour, for the first time in basically a decade. Because the Wall tour, you couldn't really tour the show. They only played 4 cities, I think 5 venues, like 30 shows total. So it's, this was, a big moment for the Floyd. 20 years of being a band, 13 albums. It's great. The gig would begin with a little bit of history first. Initially on the tour, the gigs would start with Echoes. That's awesome. It's a decent version. It is the last time Echoes was performed on a Floyd tour, not the last time Echoes was performed by a member of the Floyd, and this is not the last time we'll be talking about the song in this series, but it is the last time it was performed under the Pink Floyd moniker. So I highly recommend going and checking that out. It's, not hard to find. In fact, I will link it in the description below, as long as with the visual film, I will link in the description below. For most of the tour, it began with the first half of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. On this version, you can tell Rick is back in the chair, back in the keyboard chair. The crowd loves it. It's a fantastic performance. They go nuts for the 4 magical notes. And it's a solid performance of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is a fucking amazing song. So, and it's, the Floyd playing one of their own songs. It's obviously going to be fantastic. And then they immediately move into the new stuff. The second song is Signs of Life. It's a little bassy. It's a little more bassy than the original song. And they added, they either added organ or organs more prominently featured. Other than that, it's on par with the studio version. It's, between this and the studio version for me. Song number 3, Learning to Fly. It's got an extended bass intro, an extended drum intro. This is the best version of the song. The guitars are much better than the studio, and there's a spiffy drum solo at the end, and the guitar solo on this version of the song is delivered not by David Gilmour, but by Tim Renwick, who does a fantastic job of it. The fourth song is Yet Another Movie. You'll notice this is also the first time they kind of, went for the greatest hits route. The closest thing you had to a greatest hits album with the Floyd before, was Wembley 1974. And half of that album wasn't even stuff that was out yet. It was dark, the stuff that people knew was Dark Side and Echoes. So, yeah. Yet Another Movie, it's, pretty faithful to the album. It's better than the album. There's an immaculate guitar solo from Dave. I almost described it as face melting, but I was just like, come on. David Gilmour's more dignified than that. But it's still fucking great. Round and Round, it's on par with the album. A New Part, Cheating Part 1, it's certainly there. Terminal Frost, it's better than the album version in every single way. Scott Page, who, played sax on the album and joined the Floyd for the tour. Scott Page is a sax master. It's, it's great. Um, you know, and then a New Machine Part 2 is also here. And then Sorrow. Sorrow is better than the album. It becomes a 10-minute progressive rock epic, and the end solo is amazing. And this isn't even the best version of the song. The organ is more prominent. Semen exited my penis whilst I was listening to it. And that's not the only jizz-worthy moment on this album. There's plenty. The Dogs of War, it's on par with the original album. Again, I could take any version. On the Turning Away, it's got an extended synth intro which, it really feels like Rick is contributing to the new material on this one. Again, most of the material on Momentary Lapse of Reason, it's on the album, it's great. It needed that extra, 5-10% to really bonafide it classic Floyd. It's got an extended synth intro. Rick finally feels like he's on the song. Dave and Rick harmonize, and then there's it's fantastic. This is the best version of the song, period. On to disc 2, and this is where it sort of becomes a best of Pink Floyd compilation, which I'm not going to complain about. One of these days, this is the song where they would send the pig out. Now, if you watched my last video, you're going, wait a minute, Roger Waters walked away with the rights to the pig. How are they using the pig? Well, technically, it's not the pig that Roger walked away with the rights to. You know how they got around it? They put a big old cock and balls on it. It's juvenile humor, but that's great. But one of these days, this is where they would send the pig out. It's a fantastic performance, and this is where Guy Pratt, who, Tony Levin couldn't join them on the tour. He was already committed to Peter Gabriel, so this is where Guy Pratt enters the picture. Guy Pratt does a fantastic job. He really cements himself as, Pink Floyd's new bassist, essentially. Not gonna go over a lot of his solo stuff, because, he doesn't really have a solo career. Basically, he becomes, a touring member of the Floyd in their various solo endeavors after this. So, yeah, he really proves himself on one of these days. Time, the crowd goes ape shit. It's a fucking fantastic version of a fucking fantastic song. On the Run, the album version is still the best version of that. That's the one song on, that's the one song on Dark Side where I'm like, I don't listen to this outside of the album. Great Gig in the Sky. It's a great performance, but nothing's ever gonna beat the original. I'm sorry. And each woman, who we'll get to, each woman took a third of the song to do it. They do a great job, but you're never gonna beat Claire Torrey, because that song became instantly iconic because of Claire Torrey. Wish You Were Here. What do you want me to say here? Every version of this song is awesome. There's not really a whole lot you can do with it. It's it's an acoustic number. The Floyd don't talk during their performances of songs. They just, they get up on the stage, throw a bunch of effects at you while they're playing their fucking tunes. That's, it's Wish You Were Here. What do you want me to say? It's fucking great. Every version of the song is awesome. Welcome to the Machine. It's almost better than the original, I will say. It's an electrifying performance. That song really comes alive when it's live. It really does. It's sad that there's not a whole lot of versions of it. Roger does it quite frequently, I'm pretty sure. But Dave, to my knowledge, he never has. It doesn't appear on their next live album, which we'll get to, if not this week, certainly next week. But yeah, it's Welcome to the Machine. Us and Them, it's a great performance of a great song. Oh, Money. Yeah, Money, the 19th song on the album. The crowd is excited. They are, It's a fucking great performance. There's an extended post-solo jam almost out of the original album. It's almost like, yeah, we didn't do Any Color You Like at the end of Us and Them. Here's your consolation prize. Which is fucking fantastic. You know, it's money. It's great. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. The crowd loves it. There's no helicopter intro, no teacher. It cuts the shit, gets right into it. And apart from that, it's just straight up a performance of Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. Like, it's nothing. It's not like the version off of the live documentation of The Wall. It's just Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. That's, it's a good song. One Slip, this is the definitive version of the song. Guy Pratt does a fantastic job of subbing in for Tony Levin. The Chapman stick sounds cool. This is much more in the Floyd, much more in the what am I trying to say here? Much more of a Floyd flavor to this version of the bass solo. Ooh, fuck, I missed something very important. Song 21, One Slip is song 22. Song 21, Comfortably Numb. This is better than the studio version. It's better than the original tour. It's not even the best version of the song. And it's just, oh, the second solo, man. Like, first of all, you're wondering, how did they do Roger's part? Guy Pratt and Rick Wright harmonize on it, and then Dave does his thing. That's how they did Roger's part. And it, the second solo, man. I jizzed myself again. It's so good, dude. And the next version of Comfortably Numb, not the very next version, but the next version of Comfortably Numb on a Pink Floyd live album is so good, dude. Oh. Yeah, and then it ends with Run Like Hell. It's got an epic intro. It's an excellent performance. And yeah, definitely give it a listen. I want to buy it. I want both the movie version and the audio version. So I'm going to say it. Go buy it. Go buy it. It's fucking great. And then personnel, obviously you've got Guy Pratt on bass, Scott Page on sax, Tin Renwick on guitar, John Caron on keyboards, being the backup to Rick, Rachel Fury, Durga McBroom, and Michonne Taylor on backing vocals, and Gary Wallace on drums. Everybody does a fantastic job on this album. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Now, there's two other albums documenting this whole era of the Floyd. There's Live in Venice 89, and there's Nebbenworth 1990. I'm not going to look at those two. Those two I'm going to look at in a sort of an epilogue video before I do a series of ranking videos on this project. It's also come to my attention, this project is not going to end before I see David Gilmour, which, I'm sad about. I'm missing my deadline, but I'm still going to do a review of that live show when it comes out. Or not necessarily. I will record the video after I see the live show and release it at the end of the project. How's that? So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at actually no, I'm going to give you a forward into the rest of the week. So the next 3 days it's all Rogers solo stuff. We're doing Radio Chaos, Wall Live in Berlin 1990 and Amused to Death. And then Friday we are, I believe, Friday finally we will be looking at the Division Bell. So, I'm starting my week on a high note, ending my week on a high note, and looking at some pretty iffy stuff in the middle. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this video, video, please leave a like on it. If you have something to add, please leave a comment in the comments below. If you want to continue along this musical journey with me, please feel free to subscribe. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast called Dorkies with two of my buddies. I will link the most recent episode of that in the description below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram at Sean_Heaster1979. I post a song on my story there every single day. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one, which will be Radio Chaos. Bye-bye.